Okay, Dhamma friends, we are going to start the last Dhamma discussion. So we have received a couple of written questions and reports. So we will start with the written reports.
Avasara Bhante, we have received 8 reports today. Report number 1, meditation report, guided sitting. Primary object, here now I am. Feel body pressure, posture, touch of the clothing, feel heat rising and drops of liquid forming on the body. Note that this body is sweating. Noted fan is off and let it go. Direct attention to the abdomen rising and falling. Attention did not stay there for long. Primary object shifts to breath at nostrils, going in and out gently. Noted a white light form, then dissolve, then form, shifting back and forth. Feel peace. Amidst all these changing primary objects, am aware of mind hopping back and forth on trivial things, holding on to nothing. Body becomes restful. Then aware of pain in neck, adjust posture slightly several times to ease pain. Noted mind less active. Noted awareness is neither lost nor sharp. Walking meditation. Noted feeling disoriented for a few moments as all coir mats were full. Switch to cement and tiles. Noted smoothness, roughness, cool, warm, dry and dampness. Felt happy. Eating. Began by eating from each vegetable separately. Observe the differences. Hard, soft, salty, spicy and individual flavors such as cardamom seeds, capsicum, crispy, moist, dry, sweet. Aware of random thoughts come and go. Rarely aware of progress. But I am content with what I have. Please advise on how to progress. What am I doing wrong that my practice remains the same? Being mindful is easier than actually meditating. Much merit.
Last statement.
Being mindful is easier than actually meditating.
Yeah, I think sometimes we take too serious and we are trying to be mindful, we are trying to meditate. So that's appear like a kind of a burden. But when you are taking it kind of a gentle way, in a more soft way, it's a matter of being aware. So that is where we come to the kind of a balance. So at the beginning we are not coming to such balance, we are putting too much effort, we are effortfully trying to establish mindfulness. So that is what we do typically. It may also be necessary because at the beginning mind is scattered and being distracted to various this and that. And in such case you need very strong attention to pull it back. You are pulling it back and putting itself into the primary object. So this is how we do at the beginning. But later you may understand, okay, certain amount of mind has now restrained. Still some part is going away, but certain amount of restrainment is now available. At that time you need to little release the mind. Release in the sense, release the effort. So that you are somewhat relaxed, smooth, comfortable, maintaining mindfulness not that strongly or not that effortfully. So this is something that we need to carefully understand, gradually understand as we practice. So there's a little bit of releasing, a little bit of calming down to make it ease, to come to an ease position, to come to ease attitude, all that is there. So what you are mentioning is quite correct. So once you reach that, so doing meditation is difficult, but being mindful is easy. So what you need to do is actually to be mindful, just be mindful and not strenuously, strongly, effortfully doing meditation, rather be mindful. So what you have mentioned is quite alright and fairly descriptively you have explained what you have gone through. These are quite normal and you seems to be in the correct track, nothing to worry. So you are aware of what's happening and how the distractions also have happened. You are able to come back to the primary object. Things are doing well. Just continue the same thing.
If yogi needs to discuss further, please raise your hand. Report number 2. Walking meditation. I focused on the contact, felt the difference in the sand, soft or coarse. I could sense the thickness of the sand. At the end of the path, I felt bare earth. There were stones that hurt. The foot automatically adjusted to reduce the pain. The choir mat is harder than the sand. Feeling is mostly on the front of the sole and arch of the foot. Question. Are the conclusions mentioned were thoughts rather than observations?
Rather, what?
Are the conclusions mentioned were thoughts rather than observations?
Thoughts.
Yeah, thoughts. Is it thinking or is it observation? Like that, I suppose she's thinking.
Uh-huh. So basically, thoughts can appear that also become part of your observation. Now, say for example, you are walking and many different sensations are there. You are observing them as well. At the same time, there may be thoughts appearing in the mind. So that also another area for you to observe. So they are not conclusions in a way. Conclusive thoughts also may come by the way. So I am telling, okay, confirm you, this is that, this is it. So likewise, some conclusive thoughts, confirming thoughts also can appear, but don't continue that for a long time. Now say for example, while you are maintaining a very silent mind, say you do the proper investigation and all of a sudden kind of an insight pop-ups. Possible, that's welcome. And once it pops up, so you recognize it, appreciate it, slowly keep it down. Again come back to the silence and continue your practice. So what happens sometimes is once this insight happens, we keep thinking on it and we connect it to some other Dhamma sermons and to the books and this and that, then we are getting to the proliferation. So that has to be avoided and again revert back to the typical silent practice. Yeah, please, can you come forward? Yeah.
Avasaraya Bhante, it wasn't insight.
Uh-huh.
It's things like
kind of thought.
Comparing, realizing that the choir mat is harder on the foot.
Yes.
So, is that thought rather than...
maybe. Thought, but you don't need to think too much on that line. Again, calm yourself down. That's all.
But I shouldn't encourage that kind of comparison.
You don't need to be that strict. Let it come. Okay. Be relaxed. So, you are having a little openness to your attitude, and then strictly, forcefully, kind of suppressing the thoughts. It's not necessary. Let them come, and you recognize when the thought has come. Okay, it is related to the comparison between the choir mat and the sand path. Okay, good. Again, calm down. Again, come back to the path.
Okay. Understood.
Follow-up question from discussions yesterday on the effects from my past practice. In the past, during Anapana meditation, the breath would become steady and I felt like I settled into the breath. After that, meditation was good, undisturbed, within bracket samadhi, ? I was aware of the transition and the breath remained but could be fine. Sometimes later, I would get the jhana state. I was not aware of the transition. When I meditated yesterday, I felt a moment of that stable state which preceded the jhana. Question. Going forward, should I stop meditating when I hit the stable state to avoid jhana? Is there another way to handle this?
Yeah, that's what I prefer you to do more walking meditation, so that you are not going deep samadhi, rather you are at a surface level but still having fair amount of concentration on each and every phenomena. So this is what sometimes we call as the Kanika Samadhi, momentary concentration. It's not you take a fixed object and attain to that or absorb to that. Rather, again and again, different sensations are there, different phenomena are there, but you are fully there. Phenomena will change, phenomena will disappear, and you may have to jump to a new phenomena. There also you are fully there. So likewise, momentarily, you are fully concentrated. So this is very required for the Vipassana practice, because in Vipassana, we are not expecting a permanent object. There are no such permanent objects at all. So what we are expecting is a kind of an evolving object, and probably we might have to purposely place our attention to some other object. So this kind of a dynamic process is there in the Vipassana process. So therefore, still certain kind of a concentration is required, but that concentration is not a fixed kind of a concentration. Say for example, when your right foot is touching the ground, you are keeping attention there, and throughout that process, you have to be concentrated without being distracted to this and that. Again, now say your left foot is touching the ground, now you have to shift your attention to the left, and again you are fairly maintaining the concentration till that process is over. So this kind of a concentration is necessary to continue this Vipassana process. And so while you are doing that, this is also a type of samadhi. This is also a type of the first jhana. So actually you can read a book written by Sayadaw Pandita, and In This Very Life. So In This Very Life book explains a type of Vipassana jhana. In the Vipassana jhana, the first jhana is very much like explained. Anyway, either Samatha or Vipassana, first jhana has 5 jhana factors. 5 jhana factors. So first jhana factor is applied thought. Right? So you are applying your mind to the particular phenomena. Second jhana factor is the vichara, the sustained mind. And you do that also. You keep your attention continuously for a while, and you do an investigation also. That is the vichara. And as you are familiarizing yourself with this process, you don't need to feel effortful or troublesome. Rather, you feel now the mind know the path, know the technique, mind itself happily doing it. Now slowly the happiness also comes in. The piti and the sukha, that also comes in. And then the ekaggata is there. So the vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata are there when you do this kind of a investigation even. The difference is, in the samatha jhana, you are more deeply absorbed to one object, but here we are not deeply absorbed, but the jhanic factors are there, and the object also varies.
So, Bhante, one reason I want to...
Oh, now we are going to increase the volume. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
One reason I asked about the sitting meditation is because I just last evening and today I was trying to do the walking meditation a little more.
Yeah.
And it's a little more tiring.
Tiring. Mm-hmm.
So I have to obviously work on it. I was trying to do it slowly and all.
So
of
are
that.
you walking more effortfully, or you are simply doing your own natural kind of walking?
My naturally, I was doing my natural fast walk, so I slowed it down to my natural very slow walk. But walking 1 hour would be tiring. So I would like to be able.
Don't find a steep path, maybe a flat path.
I would like to be able to do some amount of seated meditation. So is it okay then if I try to focus on
different sensations?
Yes, like
so don't keep your attention on one thing that you have to avoid for the time being, because if you maintain your attention on one thing, slowly mind will take the old track.
Is
so you are purposely, now say for example, if there are sensations available in the body, then it's an added advantage.
Right.
Assume that you have different sensations throughout the body. At one time you are placing your attention to a hand, for example. Then you shift your attention entirely to the other hand. Next time to a leg, another leg, maybe head. So likewise at different locations of the mind, so that we are not giving a kind of fixed kind of an attention onto a single object. We are varying the attention time to time to different objects, so that we are not being absorbed to anything. Rather, we do the investigation anyway, continuous investigation.
So, I mean, very, very little that I've actually tried hard to focus on walking.
Right.
But in that little bit, what I realized is I don't have, I'm not interested in the foot the way I was interested in my breath.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm
Understood.
focusing,
Yes, yes.
to try and develop an interest in
Correct.
what is happening to the foot.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one approach I'm taking, and the other thing is to walk slowly so that I have extended time.
By the way, you don't need to purposely slow down. Rather, try to maintain the natural pace, natural speed.
Yeah. Yes.
But your mind has to be quite quick to quickly gather the information.
Right. It's not a natural slow walk, it's my very slow walk.
Right.
So one thing is, it may be that because I'm just starting on this, the mind is all over. Even it can be on the right foot, but before it goes, even in between, the time the heel and the toes
Right.
touches the ground, it has gone somewhere and come.
Right.
So I have gathered all that information, but in between gathering all the information, I have been elsewhere.
You are being elsewhere.
Yes.
Don't worry, things will settle. So this you have just started this life practice now. So if I ask a question, during this gathering time, are you fully there? Or say you are paying attention to that sensation and you are trying to gather information, are you fully there? Are there
Yes.
more thoughts, thinking, distractions, or are you?
Sometimes there are, but sometimes I'm totally there to the extent that sometimes I feel that my foot is like a hand, like that I'm trying to feel
Understood.
the
Yes,
sand.
yes. It's okay. That's all right. Because we may have different perceptions about our experience. But main thing is, those perceptions doesn't need to be perfect or correct, or there is no something like that. We don't need to find whether the perception I am having related to this experience is correct. Not necessary. Different people can have different perceptions. That is not the important thing. Important thing is you are maintaining a very quiet mind. It is not a thinking mind. Very quiet mind, and you are fully there, well concentrated onto the phenomena, and the phenomena and your attention is well synchronized. So you are not coming there late. When the phenomena are happening, you are readily there. Immediately you are there, and you are able to observe the complete picture, complete lifetime of this phenomena. So if you are doing that, that's it. That's more than enough.
So I'll have to work my way there.
You have to work what?
I'll have to work myself to that, because it's not a quiet mind.
Definitely you have to take to the quiet mind. Because it is not a proliferating mind or thinking mind or logically and reasoning mind. So that all have to be stopped. Keep the mind very quiet, very simple, relaxed. So that mind, now you have to introduce the inquiring nature to that mind. Now in the samatha, we are not having that inquiring nature now. We are simply there, we are fully absorbed there, we are enjoying it. But here, while we are there, we have to inquire what's really going on. At the beginning it appears a little tiresome because you are not used to it. You are used to take the backrest and enjoy. Now you are not supposed to do it, you are supposed to extract the detail, investigate it. Till your mind adapted, it has a little bit of friction, but later it will understand how to do it. Don't worry, just say if you are continuously practicing every day, maybe within 2 weeks, mind will understand. So don't worry. Yeah.
Note of gratitude by the same yogi. The explanations relating to walking meditation during yesterday's sermon were incredibly useful. I had never heard anything like it. It was an eye-opener into the workings of the technique. Much gratitude and merit. Thero Nissarana. Report number 3. Most Venerable Bhante, To the state I think as empty state, I can go through in a step-by-step process or move directly. Number 1, step-by-step process. Breathing as the primary object, and with the disappearance of breathing to move the mind to different touch points, and with the disappearance of them to the thoughtless. 2, just sit and wait and move to empty state, within bracket, most of the time and not always. The empty state I am referring to is a state where there are no thoughts but complete awareness is there, and I can hear sounds, feel the air movement of the and sometimes see dark, black, ash or ash with a blue-like color also. This is not always exactly the same, mainly with regard to the awareness of the scene, although eyes are closed. Mostly it's like a flux. It's difficult to separate. Everything is the same and seems a mixture also. Questions. Number 1. The state I am referring to as empty, is that the correct empty state?
Yeah, so now we can't say that we are immediately touching the perfect emptiness. And the emptiness what the Buddha is talking, also a relative emptiness. So you can refer suttas like the Chulasunjata Sutta. He is taking very mundane examples to explain us. For example, he is talking about the city life. There are many, now in those days, there are many elephants, many horses, kings, queens, the typical other, say, hustle of the city. So all that are there in the city. Now assume now you are coming to the monastery, coming to a forest. Forest is empty of those horses, empty of the forces, armies, the children, the people, all that the busy street life, that is empty. But you are in the forest now. Forest is not empty of what? Now he is talking about the Nissarana, Vipassana, where the monks are there. So Buddha is referring, okay, now Nissarana, Vipassana is empty of elephants, empty of horses, empty of kings, queens, other, say, typical human, the folk, the, say, people, but it is not empty of monks. Monks are there. It's not empty of monks. So it's relatively empty from the other things, but not empty of monks. And then he is taking another step. Okay, now you pay attention to the body, for example. You pay full attention to the body, and once you are with the body, now you are empty of horses, elephants, city, all that. The city-related things are also empty, and also empty of monks. But what you have now? Not empty of the body. The sensations of the body are available. So relatively now you are more empty, but available. The sensations are related to the body. Now say you are paying attention only to the Patavi, earth element. So you are going a step further. You are empty of many things, but not empty of earth element. Now suppose one day one has become an Arahant, so it is taken to that level. How about the Arahant's mind? So Arahant's mind particularly, Buddha mentioned, now all that other typical conventional stuff you can take out if necessary, okay? Everything is taken out. And more than that, he is saying the Arahant's mind is free from karma-asava related frictions. Now when the karma-asava is there, fetter of sensuality is there is a fair amount of friction, desires, defilements torturing the mind. But when the karma-asava is fully abandoned, the mind does not have any of the frictions with respect to that. Similarly, when the bhavasava is abandoned, whatever the frictions, whatever the torture coming through the bhavasava is also not there. And when the avijjasava is abandoned, whatever the torturing, whatever the defilements, the frictions coming through the avijja also is abandoned. But you are still living. So the body still gives you some trouble. Because of the salayatana, because of the six sense bases, still you have some friction. You are not empty of that. So therefore, so Buddha's emptiness is not an unconscious state. Buddha's definition on emptiness is a conscious state. So you are relatively empty of all the defilements, even when the Arahanta is there, empty of all the defilements, and defilement-related frictions, defilement-related any kind of a suffering, but you still have little suffering that is because of the body, living body. So therefore, we are not immediately achieving kind of a perfect emptiness. So even say you are practicing Satipatthana and you are able to abandon the fair amount of defilements for a time being and abandon the grasping, and you are achieving some kind of an emptiness. But that is also not the perfect emptiness. You have to dwell there for a while, and more you are there. So slowly you abandon even the subtle other phenomena, maybe subtle thoughts, maybe subtle images, subtle perceptions, subtle defilements. That also you are slowly abandoning. So the purification is progressing. More and more you become empty.
The second question of the same report. Sounds etc. which are arising and passing away, are they sankhara?
In one sense we can say sankhara, but you are not making them, you are not from your side adding anything to them. You are not supposed to. So sounds may happen, but why you bother? Let them be, let them go. And you are not supposed to make any further additions, subtractions, constructions upon them. Sounds are merely sounds. Yeah.
After the experience yesterday, I understood, within brackets, with reflections and thinking, how this consciousness which is unestablished gives a different understanding, within brackets, non-self, nothing. And when that gets established with sounds, thoughts, tangibles, etc., forms mind and matter, within brackets 5 aggregates of clinging, and gives a perception of I and then my and mine. Humbly requesting Bhante's advice to fine-tune the practice. Much merit.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. So once you have some experience about the emptiness, say at least to some extent, you have some taste about unestablished consciousness. So mind is unestablished. Mind is very clean, very clear, very free, calm, relaxed. So this is something now tangible and available to you, at least for a while. And later you will understand, okay, when mind start grasping, what happened to it? Again mind go and get tangled with something, attached to something, grasping something, holding something, and you feel burdened, you feel frustrated, you feel unhappy, and you feel the sense of I, again restricted. So it's a kind of a suffering. So in order for you to thoroughly understand the suffering, you have to have some experience about the non-suffering also, the released state. So you are, at least for a while, your mind is released. During that time, no suffering. Comparatively, you are enjoying kind of a peace, no suffering. But there is no you also, but kind of a very calm, relaxed state. That's it. Later, again you, as a result of the defilements, again go and tangle with something, attach to something, grasping something. Again you feel the sense of I and frustration and all that are there.
Report number 4. Most respected Bhante, I worship Bhante and request permission to share a few of the mindfulness experiences, please. When starting to write this report, nothing in my mind, and I just recalled a few experiences to get Bhante's valuable advice. Mindful walking. At the end of the walking path, when closing my eyes, I experienced my eyes are just opening separately, within brackets, not physically, and I saw a very calm, dark environment. This was experienced few times, again and again. Next part.
One thing is now, in walking also your mind can get concentrated, and at that time it can cut off the other data and you might feel the darkness. So it can happen, and even though the eyes are open, you might not see anything, rather things have become kind of a dark. It may be possible, and eyes also trying to close, maybe. Is it yours? Yeah. Are your eyes trying to close, so while eyes are open, you feel dark?
Avasaraya Bhante, eyes are closed.
Closed,
But it's opening.
It's difficult.
No. It's opening, separately opening. It's not physically opening. From my mind, it's open. And I can see very calm, dark environment.
Okay. Now that
but
is.
It's not open, Bhante.
Yeah. Then that's accepted.
Now it's coming separately, left eye separately, and
that is to the mind. To the mind, it is manipulating a different way, but not physically. Now, typically, the emptiness, typically yogis experience as darkness. Unlike samatha, where say you experience very bright lights, so that is the samatha, typical nimitta. But in the vipassana, the emptiness is typically dark. You can't see anything. That's all right.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Next part. When giving attention to the sound, I identified very minor sound like rahai birds, and it was changed in very calm manner. I believe it came from outside, not from my ears.
Both can be possible. If you are into the sound of silence, the rahai sound may not be coming from outside, but internally it is being generated. But of course, the rahaya may be in the outside as well. So both are possible. Yeah.
Third part. When giving attention to the body, it is expanding continuously, not feeling about the boundaries of the body.
It's okay, but you are not supposed to purposefully pay attention to the body. Because, it's not necessary. Because we are trying to be free from the body. So why are you purposely paying attention to the body? Not necessary. Keep the mind relaxed, keep the mind empty as much as possible. We are not purposely asked to pay attention to any physical phenomena, actually. Yeah.
So she's saying when giving attention to the mind, it also expanding a lot.
Yeah, mind, so when you are simply watching somewhere, the same you are watching the front, so what you can recognize may be the mind. That is also not a restricted mind, but an expanded mind. That is what needed also. So in the Vipassana practice, in the emptiness practice, we are not supposed to restrict the mind and focus to one particular phenomena and to concentrate. Rather, we are supposed to open the mind. So kind of an open, relaxed awareness. Open awareness. Yeah.
Bhante, sometimes I am not sure whether I am doing samatha meditation or vipassana.
Now here actually this experience is somewhat like samatha. So that's why sometimes people get confused. So what is vipassana I am doing here? Because you are not doing anything, isn't it? You are simply enjoying kind of an open awareness. Nothing is there, and you can quickly jump to that. You can simply be there. So what is vipassana doing? It's a valid question. But here it is not a result of samatha meditation, by the way. You can't get this open awareness, and again the mind is not programmed onto one thing. Now typically, say for example, if someone is practicing arupa jhana, akasananchayatana. So akasananchayatana you can't get like this. You have to program the mind. So you have to say again and again learn the mind, telling okay, the space is infinite, space is infinite, space is infinite, space is infinite, space is infinite. Like that you are programming the mind, conditioning the mind. So you are trying to pay attention to the infinite space. Space is infinite. Everywhere there is space, everywhere there is space. So you are trying to comprehend the infinite space. Again and again you are reminding the mind, infinite space, infinite space, infinite space. Ultimately you become the infinite space. You get absorbed to the infinite space. So this is the arupa jhana. You can't immediately come to that either. You need samatha practice, kasina practice, all that are required. But the triggering factor is that reminder or the programming part, the conditioning part, infinite space. Space is infinite. Space is infinite. But here, nothing is there. So you already went through this, say, Vipassana practice. As a result of that, so the mind has no object, and it doesn't have anything to grasp. Naturally, it is expanded. Unconditioned. So we are getting closer to the unconditioned. Rather than conditioning the mind, we are more into the unconditioning the mind. So we allow the mind to be open. It is not that we are forcefully opening. So when there are no objects, when there are no any kind of a lust, hatred, delusion, the natural behavior of the mind has to be expanded. That's a theory. You can refer Mahavedalla Sutta. So Venerable Sariputta very beautifully mentioned, Rago ko avso pamana karamo, doso pamana karamo, moho pamana karamo. Pamana karana means limiting the mind. Say, when the mind has lust, it limits the mind. When the mind has hatred, it limits the mind. When the mind has delusion, it limits the mind. If those three are fairly weakened, then it has to go to the unlimited, kind of limitless, boundless. It has to be a very naturally opening up. You are not trying to condition the mind to be open, rather it has to naturally open. So this is the direction that we have to move forward. Yeah.
In this entire year, I was able to change my life in an unbelievable manner by getting Bhante's valuable advice, and I pay my greater gratitude and respect for all. Thero and Saranai.
Right. Is that all? Some more? 150. Okay. Yes, you have another question? Okay, 1 minute. You need to come forward, please. That's the punishment. Yeah.
Also, Bhante,
Yeah.
you said that the emptiness always looks like dark. I have never experienced that.
Dark. So your emptiness has light.
No one like this. Sometimes I jumped into white light, but
really?
just, yeah, sometimes
I mean, you jump into the light.
White.
Then maybe a kind of a myth there.
Yeah, but normally it's like this. Like this normal daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Once in a while I...
So how is your walking practice? Can you simply look around and walk without paying attention to anything?
Yeah.
Can?
Yeah.
Okay. So just look around and allow the mind to wander if it wants, but it should not wander. You can test yourself. So give the complete freedom to the mind and full enjoy the walk. Look around and sightseeing and all that, something like that. See how your mind behaves. Even though visuals are there for you to see, is your mind unattached? Is your mind very quiet, relaxed? Then it's okay. Then it's all right. So then that means you are really more into the emptiness, because even though you see, hear, smell, taste, and others are also walking, but they are not distracting. Your mind has your own kind of a freedom. It minds its own business, not disturbing by the others. So, we are giving kind of a challenge to the mind, rather than restraining yourself, okay, left, right, and very focused onto the walking path. This is how we start.
Yeah.
This is how we are training ourselves. But later, once you are stepping into the emptiness, okay, just give the freedom. Look around and see how the mind is behaving. So next time, result.
Anyway, no darkness for me.
Okay.
Report number 5. Most Venerable Bhante, I had a gap of about 8 months in my practice due to personal reasons. Yesterday I sat down to meditate with a very chaotic mind. However, the mind calmed down quickly even though I could hear the outside sounds and noises. There was a distinct silence and tranquility within the mind. I was able to meticulously distinguish the two. At the time, I was actually aware of proprioception, even though that was not the initial object of meditation. Walking meditation. I usually have some difficulty in maintaining awareness during walking meditation.
Repeat?
I usually have some difficulty in maintaining awareness during walking meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Today I managed to acquire a somewhat peaceful equilibrium between walking and thoughts. There were very few thoughts, quite unknown to me, and through no consequence of any thought, a broad smile had appeared without my conscious doing. I could discern the perceptions, feelings of each step, i.e. hardness, pressure. Please advise on how to proceed further. All the respect and gratitude, Thero Sarana.
So if you had a nice smile, that means you are going in the proper direction. Because the joy happens when things are proper. The joy is one essential part of the practice. So the joy, if naturally happening, that means the path is correct. So the joy is as an enlightenment factor. I think it's your question, right? So joy as an enlightenment factor only happens when Sati, Dhammavicaya, Viriya are balanced. It's in the progressive way, the enlightenment factors happen at the beginning. So you have to have fairly good mindfulness, Sati Sampajjhana, then you do the investigation, the Dhammavicaya. It's also sometimes not balanced. Then the joy won't arise. But the Dhammavicaya, when it is properly balanced, through the proper amount of effort, then you touch the Piti. Sati, Dhammavicaya, Viriya, Piti. That's the order. So the joy arise means now things are happening fairly good. But anyway, as you have mentioned now, if you haven't meditated for a while, so there may be many distractions that you need to tackle. But once you are handling them properly, now you start enjoying the kind of a, say more peaceful environment, peaceful state of the mind. Now mind start appreciating it, happy about it. Because after a long time only you experience it, so you are happy about it. Anything you need to add, or we'll proceed? Okay.
Report number 6. Venerable Bhante, the sermon yesterday about the formation of the self made me think of a game I used to play with myself as a child. It was a sort of thought exercise where I would wonder to myself, who am I? Then, how do I know I am me? And how do I know I am me and not that person over there? I would continue in this way until I felt I was in this sort of nothingness or boundless state. It was scary to me as a child, so I would usually stop it at this point. But the risk was also accruing, so I would play the game often. I stopped playing this game by the time I was about 11 or 12. As an adult, I've tried but find it much harder as the answers to the questions seem so obvious. When meditating, I was sometimes try this exercise with some success at feeling that selfless state. Is this a worthwhile thing to do in my practice, or is it a distraction? Thank you for your wisdom and guidance. Thero Sarana.
May I know who has written it? Yeah. Can you explain, or can you teach us how to play?
It's very hard to explain, but I still can remember the feeling. It was a very expansive feeling.
So can you explain a little bit? I mean, how you are trying to recognize? Or is this me? Is this me? How you can you a little bit inform us?
It was usually I would start with this. I don't even know how I started playing the game, but it started sort of. Who am I? My name is Champika. So I said, Champika. Who is Champika? Do I really know the voice inside my head? Is that me, or is that you? Is that somebody else? Mm-hmm. Maybe. And then I think I would just keep down that path.
Right. So basically, you are trying to give a difficult question for the mind so that it can't answer it. Yeah. It becomes blank-like. It's become puzzled, something like that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just start to feel more and more uncertain that I am me, and so I could be anybody, and then I would feel very dissociated from. And it was a scary feeling, but the scariness was I felt like maybe I can't come back, so I should stop. But then it was fun, so I would do it from time to time.
Right. Because I can remember actually one time I heard a sermon by Ajahn Sumedho, Ruanpo Sumedho. He has mentioned something like this. He's asking, who is me? Who am I? Because you know that so whenever the sense of I, on the other hand, from the Dhamma point of view, whenever the sense of I is there, whenever the self-affirming thought or some kind of a sense of I, strong sense of I is there, what you can do, the opposite is you can check with respect to what now I am telling, attached with what, grasping with what now I am telling I. The sense of I has come with respect to what. Now say for example, you are going in front of the mirror and immediately you see your mirror image. I am here. Now it is obvious, now the figure, that image is the one triggering factor, right? So with respect to the body basically, with respect to the body, the sense of I comes out. So likewise, whenever the sense of I comes out, you can reflect back and see with respect to what? To which aggregate? Is it to the form aggregate? Is it the feeling aggregate? Is it to the perceptions, formations, consciousness? You are going the opposite. So rather than confirming the self and promoting the self, now you are reverting back using your wise reflection to figure out what is the underneath characteristic. So this way it will dissolve like. So you become no one then later. So it's not a bad practice by the way.
Okay. Thero,
you enjoy it once in a while. Yeah.
Thank you.
Report number 7. Dear Bhante, would you kindly advise a person who is very busy in their life to reduce their workload before getting into serious meditation? Or can both go side by side with metta? Thanking you.
So typical traditional advice is if you have some urgent task, urgent work, please finish it and then come and sit. Because otherwise once you are sitting, all that start bothering you. Okay, I didn't finish this, these people would call me, I need to check the messages, all this task is also pending. So many disturbances are there because there are many unfinished jobs. So best thing is, if possible to finish, just finish them and come with a free mind, unburdened mind, less responsibilities. But there are certain tasks you can't finish. They are there. Responsibilities are there. You can't finish them that early or that quickly. You have to keep them. Now you have to forget it. Okay, you need to forget it. Forget it, let it be. I am not going to bother myself a long time. And during this time, this is my resting time. Okay, don't talk to me about them. You switch off your phone and cut off all the communication. Calm down and use that time as your private time. Because we need that. Everybody need that. Because otherwise every day, every time you are committing everyone's request, it's unbearable. I mean, you need your own private time. And at that time, cut off all the things and be with yourself. This purposely, forcefully, we might have to do it. And Buddha also has done that, interestingly. So there are instances, Buddha mentioning, okay, monks, at certain occasions are there, people are coming to talk to me. But I am more into the seclusion. So I am talking in a way so that the talk is no longer continued. Very, very interesting. He being the Buddha, he very beautifully mentioned like that. So his talk, his discussion aims towards how this guy will be go away. Not to continue, to chase him away. Very, very applicable. Yes.
Report number 8. Most Venerable Bhante, much merit to you for giving us an opportunity to listen to Bahudhatuka Sutta sermon in the morning. It was clear to me that a bhava to take place, karma, vijnana and craving is a must. These three will give rise for us to be born in a human realm. You explained that due to meditation and jhanic absorptions, one can be born in a arupa loka. Please explain the difference between arupa loka and rupa loka and the reasons for one to be born in these two realms, rupa and arupa loka. May all your dhamma desires be fulfilled in this life itself. Thero Nissarana.
No, that is your attitude. So in the rupa jhana, you are abandoning the sensual realm, knowing the repercussions, knowing the consequences of the sensual realm. That's why the typical phrase, first jhana phrase, vivicheva kamehi, vivicha kusalehi dhammi. Vivicheva kamehi means that you are now having kind of dispassion towards the karma, dispassion towards the sensuality. So you can't have kama chanda at that time. You can't have any anger or those kind of defilements which are more into this mundane, human, the sensual realm. You can't have that. Then you step into the rupavachara realm. But there may be situations, some people who see the rupa realm is still not enough. Still your mind has some shades of the physicality, shades of the rupa, shades of the forms, shades of the physicality. Even though you are in a rupa jhana, still some shades are there. Now you need to abandon even that. It's more refined. That is why the sabbang rupang samatikkama, patikanta samatikkama, so like that, even the subtle shades of the rupa form are also abandoned in the arupa jhana. So it is more advanced, in a way more refined than the rupa jhana. So some are capable of achieving it, some are doing it, and it is more expanded state rather than the absorbed, restricted state. It's more expanded state. So it all are actually the practice. You are promoting the practice by continuing the practice. More and more different levels are there. Okay, I think that is enough. Yeah. Okay. So I think we have spent a fair amount of time, almost 1 hour. Let's share enough minutes. Okay, today breakfast dana from a regular yogi to third remembrance of her father, and then lunch dana was offered by a regular yogi to pass message to her departed father. Let medicine be helpful for him to have a good samsaric journey and attain nibbana in near future. Okay, so those are the few sharing of merits. Then we will wind up the session formally by sharing the merits with all the celestial beings, all the past relatives, and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path, Roshan, Nibbana. We will recite the traditional verses. Ettavata cha amhehi sampatam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ettavata cha amhehi sampatam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ettavata cha amhehi sampatam punya sampadam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Akasattha ca bhummatta devanaga mahindika punyantan anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bhummatta devanaga mahindika Punyantang anumoditva cirang rakhantu desanam Akasattha ca bhummattha deva naga mahiddhika Punyantang anumoditva cirang rakhantu mang parang Idam mo yati nam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Idam mo yati nam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Idam mo yati nam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.